Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Life here, and today we're reviewing for you Metroid Prime 4 Beyond on the Nintendo Switch 2. This review was originally written by the wonderful Ollie Reynolds and has been adapted for video by me. And I've even got some of my own thoughts, which I'll share with you at the end. But anyway, that's more than enough waffling. Let's dive right into things. We've been waiting, safe to say, an awfully long time for this. Ever since Metroid Prime 3 Corruption ended on a slight cliffhanger, provided you attained 100% completion rating back in 2007, we've been wondering where exactly Nintendo and Retro Studios might take the series next. 18 years would follow, and that's an awfully long time to formulate an idea of what the perfect sequel might look like. Now that Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is finally here, it's absolutely nothing like we imagined. And that's a good thing. What Retro Studios has delivered might well be the studio's finest work yet, and it's certainly up there as one of the very best Metroid games of all time. We should say off the bat though that this game may prove divisive. Retro has successfully replicated that magical feeling of discovery from the GameCube original, but it's also taken some pretty wild swings with Beyond's new open world hub, high-speed motorbike traversal, and yes, Galactic Federation companions. It's safe to say that not everyone's gonna get along with it in the way that Ollie did, but what we can say with confidence is that Beyond feels like a natural evolution of Corruption. The Prime games have set themselves apart from the rest of the series by expanding Samus's world to introduce more and more side characters, and this latest entry takes this concept even further. To illustrate, Beyond kicks off on the planet Tanamar, with Samus fighting alongside a host of Federation troopers against an attack from Sylux and their space pirate cronies. It's a great sequence to get reacquainted with your beam attacks, missiles, morph ball, and double jump before most of it gets ripped away in classic Metroid style. You see, following a confrontation with Sylux, Samus gets transported to the mysterious world of Vuros, seemingly alone in a hostile environment stuffed with creatures looking to kill you. What follows is an intriguing mystery that introduces the brand new Le Mans race, which essentially functions as Prime 4's Chozo equivalent. Uncovering what happened to the Le Mans is an absolute joy, and you do not need any prior series knowledge to enjoy this story. Phazon's out, Dark Samus is out, and Sylux gets enough screen time as the new big bad. Fans will adore it, but newcomers can get right on board as well. The first thing that leapt out when wandering around the lush opening section of Fury Green was just how beautiful Beyond really is. Environments and creatures are brought to life like never before, with accompanying lighting and particle effects making this the best looking game Nintendo has ever published. The art design is simply astonishing, constantly compelling you to stop and soak it all in, which is easy given just how much there is to uncover with the scan visor. Go back to the admittedly very lovely looking Prime Remastered, and you'll see just how much of a step up this is. The visuals are augmented by the incredible soundtrack, which is comfortably the best since the original Prime. You've likely already heard the Fury Green theme from trailers, but every major biome rocks its own awesome variant, from the thumping, electrically charged Vault Forge to the calming, ethereal base camp. You can quite literally, and we both did in fact, just sit for 10 minutes just vibing in the various locales, and with the combined effects of the art style and audio, it was the first of many moments when we thought, okay, this really is a special game. It's the kind of thing you just know you'll be going back to in 10 or 20 years' time. The enemies and boss characters are comfortably some of the best, most grotesque in the series' history, and the battles that ensue are equally thrilling and challenging. Even better, they're all completely new and don't lean on nostalgia. Sorry, Ridley, that's 2 games in a row where you don't feature. There are loads of different enemy types, including the ferocious Grievers, the exploding Pyamites, and the deadly Cybots. We only wish there was a 3D model viewer feature like in Prime Remastered to better appreciate their frankly incredible designs. Provided you have the right setup, you can choose between 2 performance modes on Switch 2, quality at 4K 60 frames a second or 1080p on handheld, or performance at 1080p 120 frames a second and 720p handheld. wild. The bump up to 120 FPS in performance mode is certainly noticeable, but not half as much as the resulting downgrade in resolution. As such, we spent the vast majority of our time in quality mode. It looks absolutely gorgeous in 4K while docked, and as far as we can tell, locked 60 FPS with no noticeable dips. Maybe the odd frame here and there. We haven't sat down and done a digital foundry, but trust us, you're gonna want the highest resolution possible for this. You've also got several different control methods from the off, including dual stick aiming and motion aiming. Opt for the former and you can use the analog sticks for your movement and broad looking around, while gyro aiming can help with any sort of fine tuning. Mouse controls are also featured for both options, so if you're playing with the Joy-Con 2 detached, you can put the right controller side down to immediately activate mouse mode. It can be a little erratic at first, so you might need to bring the sensitivity down a bit, but it feels pretty great. In typical Metroid fashion, you'll be exploring various biomes throughout the world of Vuros, including the luscious forest of Fury Green, the frozen laboratories of the Ice Belt, and much more besides. In addition to familiar abilities and armaments, missiles, grapple beam, morph ball, all that sort of thing, Samus also gains a host of new psychic powers early on. This includes the ability to move devices remotely, to open up paths, hurl your morph ball bombs at enemies and bomb slots from a distance, and directly manipulate the direction of your control beam to hit multiple targets at once. In pre-release trailers depicting the psychic powers, we were a little bit worried that they might prove gimmicky, but thankfully that isn't the case. They make for some really cool sequences, including, but not limited to, the new psychic boost rails which hurl you around the environment at an almost but not quite invisible path. Perfect for locating those coveted missile expansions. Of course, you'll also gain new weapons on your travels, and these work a little bit differently this time. In the past, you'd acquire new beams while your standard missiles would remain the default sub-option. In Beyond, your power beam is maintained throughout, while elemental beams, specifically fire, ice, and thunder, are all mapped to the missile input and require their own ammo called shots. So in addition to the missile expansions, you'll also be on the lookout for shot expansions. We were concerned that this might limit our approach to battles if we're constantly worried about running out of ammo, but in truth, you're going to find so many expansions on your travels, depleting your supplies is never really a concern. Traveling from one biome to another is also a little... okay, it's a lot different this time around. A few hours in, you'll gain access to Violar, a fantastic futuristic motorbike that comes equipped with boost capabilities and projectile weapons. It controls like a dream as well, with light touches of ZL allowing you to slide and turn sharp corners at will. Upgrades found in the environment add more boosts to your arsenal, and soon you'll be racing from one end of the hub world to the other in no time flat. Said open area, Sol Valley, is a pretty vast area, and at first it felt realistically completely empty, but looks can be deceiving. In addition to connecting the major locations necessary to progress the story, Sol Valley also includes a bunch of shrines. Yes, Breath of the Wild has its influence even here. Galactic Federation debris sites and dozens upon dozens of green crystal clusters that you simply drive through at speed to collect. Ultimately, including such a meaty open world among the usual labyrinthine biomes is a stroke of genius on Retro's part. Think about how previous Metroid games, or indeed any real Metroidvania titles, work. Completely different environments wouldn't be separated by a mere door or lift, and whilst this works perfectly well from a gameplay perspective, logically, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Outside of Metroid Fusion, where it's thoroughly explained. What Sol Valley demonstrates is that these games don't need to be confined to dense corridors for the duration of the experience. You can open up the world, make the biomes link together more logically, and still maintain the essence of that classic Metroid experience. We can't wait to see how this influences the genre going forward. Like the missiles, energy tanks, and whatnot, those green crystals we mentioned in Sol Valley are a finite resource. You'll need to nab the whole lot to bag some sweet rewards, but the game introduces some neat little perks later on that makes this a lot easier than you might think. Truth be told, this is probably the most approachable Metroid game ever, since hidden scout bots located in each environment can also ping their radars and reveal the location of any undiscovered items on your map. Granted, you won't be able to activate these until much later in the game, but it makes chasing that 100% completion rating a lot more digestible than ever before. As you make your way across Vuros, you'll also run into a handful of Galactic Federation troopers. Mars Mackenzie, Rhaegar Takabi, Nora Armstrong, Ezra Duke, and View 995. Ollie didn't find them irritating at all and genuinely came to enjoy their presence. I have my own thoughts which I'll explain later. There are brief moments throughout the game where one or two might join you in the fight, but these are broadly kept to a minimum and Retro wisely ditches them before they can outstay their welcome. Overall, the dialogue is a lot stronger than anything seen in Corruption, and the voice actors do a wonderful job of bringing them to life. This is also where there's a little nitpick that comes in. While exploring Sol Valley, Miles will occasionally ping you on the radio to let you know what you should be doing next, whether it's making your way to your next objective or heading back to base camp to activate a new beam upgrade. Miles is essentially Prime 4's Navi from Ocarina of Time, always there to nudge you in the right direction. It's not like mega frequent, and as long as you don't spend too long in Sol Valley at any one time, you'll broadly only ever hear him once in that time in Sol Valley, but we'd love it if Retro Studios added the ability to mute him completely. Sometimes we just want to ride around in peace or work things out for ourselves. We did find ourselves longing for a couple of extra features though, namely the ability to change the bike's color and, I don't know, maybe listen to some custom music while roaming about. Well, they are here. If you buy the amiibo, the Viola figure unlocks skins for your sweet hog, while the Samus amiibo adds the Viola radio, letting you toggle through a small selection of banging Metroid-themed tunes. It's honestly really irritating that Nintendo decided to lock these features behind amiibo. They should have just been in the game by default, no question. The Silex amiibo apparently unlocks a specific cutscene early, which you'll otherwise need to 100% the game to see. Or the other Metroid series amiibo just play a random Metroid-themed jingle. That is not an exaggeration. When you scan them, they just make a noise. At the time of writing, we've been able to beat the game with 100% items and 97% of logbook scans, and this has taken roughly about 16 hours. And don't worry, we're going after that remaining 3. Do bear in mind though that for review purposes, we often have to speed through things for the sake of the review, so playing at your own slower pace could easily nudge you over to 20 hours if you're looking to do absolutely everything. If you just want to mainline the story, maybe you're looking at about 10. We'd highly recommend finding all the collectibles if you can though, since this will uncover everything in the game's gallery section, which is filled with concept art from Beyond's development, which is a lovely behind-the-scenes look at a game that has been, frankly, massively shrouded in mystery for years. After 18 years of waiting, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond manages to replicate that magical sense of discovery from the GameCube original while pushing the series in some incredible new directions. Separating the main biomes with a vast open world sounds ridiculous on paper, but the slick traversal provided by Viola makes exploration more satisfying than ever. Combine this with the unbelievably stunning art direction, ferocious new boss characters, and surprisingly endearing squad of Federation troopers, and Beyond is quite possibly the boldest, most well-realized Metroid game to date. Make no mistake, the long wait has been more than worth it. Welcome back, Samus. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, you're getting a 9 out of 10 from us. And now you know what time it is. Yes, it's time for Alex's personal thoughts, and I want to get my criticisms out of the way first, because there's so much more that I want to talk about that I actually love about this game. I don't like the Federation troopers basically at all. Like, I really don't think they add anything to the game, beyond a few select instances overall where I do think they add something, but on balance, I think just gut them, and I think the game would be better for it. One of the big problems for me is the fact that they talk to Samus in a manner that is, I don't want to say not befitting of Samus herself, because that feels like I'm suggesting that no one should ever talk to her ever, but there's only one character, and it's Duke, who actually talks to her in the manner that I would expect someone to talk to Samus. First and foremost, you do not expect Samus to respond, so you don't ask her questions. Like, maybe some rhetorical ones every now and then, but you don't talk to her expecting a response, so you wouldn't do that. You know, sort of, if you were on a voice call, or you were talking to someone who you knew could hear you, but you couldn't hear them, you wouldn't speak to them normally, you would speak to them in a very different manner, which the other Federation troopers don't really do. But Duke kind of does. I don't know why the writing is so disparate in that sense, but Duke does it right, so props for that. At one point, he also said that he would be turned into casserole from heating or something like that, and that got a genuine giggle out of me. Yeah, Duke all the time. The others, I don't give a damn about. And in truth, they do take the shine off the experience for me overall, a bit. It doesn't ruin the game or anything like that. Don't think for a moment that you can't enjoy this game, because I still love this game and I don't like them, so hopefully take that into consideration. But now I want to talk about stuff I do like, and oh my god, some of the areas in this game are some of the best that the series has ever had. Vault Forge is going to be stuck in my brain forever, I think. You enter this big tower at the very top and you're having to go down, and you have all this machinery and stuff like that, because this is where they make the Viola bikes, and you have to plumb these depths and you have to avoid all these things, and there's so many things that you can't understand. You're looking at it and it's arguably sort of visual noise. It's like, I've just got to keep going down. I've just got to keep going down. I don't know what all this stuff is. The power's not on. I don't know what's happening. But then you have to reascend, and it's a completely different experience. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting no game has ever done that before, but it is done superbly. And the amount of times, in fact, it happens in ice fields as well, where you go through and the power's off and everything's all quiet and calm and sort of a little bit wary, and then you turn the power on and suddenly everything's back to life, and now it's full of grievers and The grievers as well, I think, are fantastic. They have this theme, maybe arguably almost a leitmotif in a sense, where they appear and you get this sort of whistling, classic sort of Metroid Prime sort of sound sort of layered over the top of the normal music. And it's sort of quiet and mysterious and mournful and deadly, and it's just utterly gorgeous. I sort of feel I need to do an entire video where I just gush about the stuff that I love in this game, and maybe go into a little bit more detail about why I don't like the Federation troopers, but I don't really think I've got time to do that here. Let me know with a comment down below if you want to see a 2-hour-long video of me spilling my guts. Can't guarantee it'll be 2 hours, but I'll be spilling my guts. But all in all, this is a fantastic game that kind of invaded my brain and kind of invaded my life, and I couldn't put it down in so many instances. It is definitely not perfect, and I will stand by the fact that I don't think the Federation troopers add enough to warrant their inclusion, but they also don't do enough to ruin the game overall. So it's still a good.